Captain Alex Mercer was not a man who sought attention. He was an engineer, a diplomat by training, and a disaster magnet by nature. Yet somehow here he was, standing on the gleaming silver platform of Zephora's main plaza, trying desperately not to trip over his own feet in front of hundreds of aliens and dozens of human delegates. The planet Zephora was beautiful in ways Alex couldn't have imagined. Its sky shimmered in shades of violet and gold, with two suns rising together in perfect harmony. Floating crystal towers drifted lazily above the glowing oceans below, connected by energy bridges that pulsed like veins of light. The aliens themselves, tall, elegant, with translucent skin revealing faintly glowing veins, moved gracefully, almost floating, as if gravity were optional. Alex swallowed hard, straightened his uniform, and reminded himself, "Don't make a fool of yourself. Don't make a fool of yourself." Unfortunately, the universe seemed to have other plans. The human Zephoran diplomatic summit had been going smoothly, until Alex opened his mouth. "Greetings, your, majesticness," he said, bowing slightly, unsure how deep his bow should be. He glanced around. The human ambassador seemed frozen with horror, and a few Zephyrans tilted their heads as if analyzing a strange animal. Queen Lyriath, the ruler of Zephora, watched him with those impossibly luminous eyes. She was taller than any human could hope to be, with flowing robes that seemed to shimmer with their own light. Her expression was unreadable, and Alex had a sinking feeling it was about to become terrible. "You honor us with your presence, human," she said in a voice that was both soft and commanding. "Come closer. Share your gesture." Alex blinked. Gesture? What gesture? He had no idea what to do, so he mimicked the most formal bow he knew from ancient human ceremonies, dipping low, lowering his head, and extending his hand awkwardly. He had meant it as a polite greeting, but in Zephoran culture, that exact combination, head lowered, hand extended, slight bow, was known as a marriage proposal. He had accidentally proposed to the Queen of Zephora. There was a silence. A long, tense silence. Alex opened his mouth to explain, but no words came out. His mind was blank, save for a single thought. Oh no. This is it. I'm going to be eaten. Alive or worse, imprisoned for life in some alien palace dungeon. Then, to his shock, Queen Lyriath's lips curved in a smile. "Accepted," she said. Alex froze. Accepted? His brain scrambled. That wasn't supposed to happen. He didn't want this. He didn't intend this. And yet, the entire plaza seemed to hold its breath, waiting for his reaction. What?" Alex stammered. I didn't mean—" "Silence, human," the Queen said, still smiling. "In Zephora, once a proposal is made, consent is immediate unless declined, and declining publicly would be impolite." She gestured gracefully to her attendants, who glided forward and began placing ceremonial ribbons around Alex's shoulders. "You are now our honored guest and our fiancé until proven unworthy." Alex's knees nearly buckled. "Fiancé?" he whispered, as if saying it out loud would make it disappear. "Exactly," said the Queen, her tone amused. "And now you must learn our customs, or you will embarrass yourself further." The human ambassador rushed forward, face pale. "Your Majesty, he didn't mean to. This is a misunderstanding." Queen Lyriath waved a delicate hand. "The human speaks, yet does not understand our ways. That is expected, but it does not concern me. Let him learn." She fixed Alex with a piercing gaze, and somehow Alex felt both terrified and honored at the same time. The next hour was a blur. Alex was escorted through the floating palace, every step revealing wonders beyond human imagination. Crystalline stairways wound upward without railings. Glowing gardens floated in midair, and small hovering creatures that resembled glowing jellyfish zipped past like miniature comets. At every turn, Alex tried to apologize, explain, or just hide. But the Queen would smile at him patiently and say, "One step at a time, human. One step at a time." Finally, they arrived at a chamber that overlooked the ocean of light below. The entire city floated on massive crystalline platforms that reflected the suns like mirrors. Queen Lyriath gestured to a floating console. "Your first task is simple. Demonstrate your creativity. Impress us with a human invention, a clever solution to a problem. Alex blinked. A problem? Like engineering? Precisely. Humans are known for their ingenuity, she said, tilting her head. Show me why your species is worth this engagement. Alex's mind raced. He had to think fast. His hands itched to tinker, to build, to prove himself. Around him, alien technology hummed and pulsed with energy beyond anything he had ever seen. He noticed a floating crystal bridge flickering weakly. It wobbled and twisted as if it might collapse at any second. He seized his chance. That bridge, he said, pointing. It's unstable. I can fix it. Proceed, said the Queen, folding her hands. Alex ran forward, pulling out his small toolkit which the aliens watched with polite curiosity. With human ingenuity, he analyzed the energy currents, adjusted a few stabilizers, and improvised a temporary reinforcement using alien energy conduits in ways no Xipheran would consider. Within minutes, the bridge stabilized, glowing brighter and humming with renewed energy. There was silence. Then a soft ripple of applause. Not from humans, but from the aliens surrounding them. Queen Lyriath's eyes shone with interest. Remarkable, she said. You use tools, but also intuition. Xipherans rely on precision. Humans improvise. This is fascinating. Alex breathed heavily, realizing he had survived the first test. And somehow, in the process, he had impressed the Queen. But as he wiped sweat from his brow, a new panic hit him. If this is only the first test, what else is coming? The Queen studied him silently for a moment, then smiled again. Do not worry, human. You have courage. You have creativity. You may yet survive this engagement. But remember, being my fiancé is not just a title. It is a responsibility. Alex swallowed hard. I'll try, he said, though he wasn't sure what he would try. That evening, during the formal banquet, Alex found himself seated between the Queen and several high-ranking Xiphoran officials. The table was a floating platform suspended above a pool of glowing liquid that seemed to pulse with life. Platters of shimmering food hovered before him, emitting subtle aromas that made his stomach twist in both hunger and fear. Throughout the meal, Alex fumbled with alien etiquette, spilling a glowing liquid and nearly dropping a floating plate. Each mistake caused the humans nearby to cringe, but the Queen only watched him with amusement. You are different, she said, leaning slightly toward him. Most humans would freeze, cower, or run. You continue. You adapt. You survive. Alex tried to smile. I guess I'm just stubborn? Perhaps, she said softly. Or perhaps you are human. Her words struck him more than anything. For the first time, Alex felt a flicker of pride. Despite the accidental proposal, the misunderstanding, and the palace full of strange and dangerous customs, he realized that humans had something unique. Creativity, adaptability, courage, even when terrified. And for the first time in his life, Alex wondered, maybe being human was enough. As the stars rose above Xiphora and the two suns dipped below the horizon, the palace lights shimmered across the glowing oceans. Alex sat quietly, exhausted but strangely exhilarated. He had survived the first day, impressed the Queen, and not been imprisoned. Or worse. Yet deep down, he knew this was only the beginning. The accidental proposal had set events in motion that could change not only his life but the fate of humans in the galaxy. And Alex Mercer, engineer, diplomat, disaster magnate, and now reluctant fiancé to an alien queen, would have to rise to the challenge. Because in a galaxy full of wonders, dangers, and unimaginable possibilities, humans had one thing the Xipherans could never predict: ingenuity. Alex Mercer woke to the soft hum of the palace. Sunlight, or what passed for sunlight on Xiphora, filtered through the translucent walls of his chamber, painting the room in hues of violet and gold. His head throbbed from the events of the previous day. He had survived the accidental proposal, impressed the Queen with his improvised engineering skills, and not yet been executed. That counted as a small victory in Alex's book. But victory was temporary. As he stretched, a soft chime announced the arrival of his first visitor, a Xipheran aide, tall and elegant, carrying a floating tray of glowing breakfast spheres. The aide's translucent skin shimmered as he moved, and Alex couldn't help but stare. "Good morning, human," the aide said in a voice smooth as liquid crystal. "Your Queen requests your presence in the Hall of Learning. You will be briefed on Xipheran customs. It is imperative," Alex rubbed his eyes. "Briefed? You mean crash course in not offending an alien queen?" The aide gave a small tilt of the head, which Alex guessed was amusement. "Yes, and perhaps not just the Queen, but the entire court." Moments later, Alex was escorted through corridors that seemed alive. The walls pulsed softly, almost breathing. Holographic gardens floated overhead, displaying flowers and creatures he could not identify. The air smelled faintly of ozone and something sweet, like alien honey. Finally, they arrived at the Hall of Learning, a massive chamber with walls covered in luminous scripts and floating diagrams. At its center, Queen Lyriath waited, seated upon a platform that hovered above the floor. Her robes shimmered, reflecting the light in every direction. "Human," she said, her voice calm but commanding. "You have survived the first day. That is..." Encouraging, Alex bowed nervously. "Thank you, Your Majesty. I'm trying my best." "Your best," she said, "is different from ours. That is evident." She gestured toward the glowing scripts. "We have observed your species. We know humans are clever but reckless, resourceful but often illogical. Your presence here will be interesting." Alex tried not to fidget. "I can assure you I'll be careful." The Queen's gaze softened slightly. "Careful is not enough. You must understand. To survive here, to fulfill your engagement, you must learn our ways." Aides began to float forward, presenting holographic displays showing intricate customs, gestures that conveyed respect, colors that conveyed emotion, and food that, if eaten incorrectly, could insult an entire dynasty. Alex blinked. "This is a lot. You will practice," the Queen said. "Each day a test. Each day a chance to show your worthiness," he nodded. "Tests. Got it." The first test came sooner than expected. A small group of junior Xipheran nobles approached, carrying delicate floating crystals. Alex was instructed to hand them over in the correct sequence using the proper gestures. He hesitated. His hands shook. One wrong motion could mean public humiliation or worse. Taking a deep breath, he mimicked what he had observed the aides doing. Surprisingly, it worked. The nobles accepted the crystals with polite nods. The Queen raised an eyebrow. "Impressive. Few humans achieve this on the first attempt." Alex felt a flush of pride. Maybe humans really could thrive here. But pride was fleeting. Later, he was introduced to a Xiphoran technology puzzle. A hovering energy cube floated before him, its surface shifting patterns and symbols he didn't understand. The Queen explained that it was a security device used in palace operations. "Unlock it," she said. "If you succeed, you will have proven that humans can adapt to Xipheran logic. If you fail, it is..." Instructive, Alex studied the cube. Xipheran logic was precise, almost rigid. Human logic, in contrast, was flexible, inventive, unpredictable. He remembered the wobbling bridge from the previous day. Humans thrived when improvising, when thinking outside the box. He took a deep breath, gently prodding and rotating the cube, ignoring the expected methods. After several minutes, the cube clicked and unfolded into a perfect pattern of light. The Queen's eyes sparkled. "Interesting. You do not follow the rules, yet achieve the result. Humans are unpredictable, valuable." Alex grinned, relief washing over him. Maybe I'm not completely hopeless. Despite his small victories, the day was far from easy. During lunch, a floating banquet of alien delicacies, Alex accidentally misinterpreted a gesture, nearly spilling a glowing drink onto a court official. He apologized profusely, using every word he could remember from their crash course in Xipheran etiquette. Queen Lyriath laughed softly, a sound like wind through crystal towers. "You are charmingly chaotic human, but I see honesty, courage, and resourcefulness. These are rare qualities." Alex blinked. "Thanks, I think." She leaned closer. "Do not think too much. Do, observe, adapt, survive. That afternoon, Alex was given a more challenging task. A minor energy disturbance had appeared in one of the floating districts. The Queen explained that if left unchecked, it could destabilize several crystal platforms. Zypherans had studied it extensively but had failed to devise a solution. Alex's mind raced. He could see the problem clearly. The energy flows were out of sync and the platform's stabilizers could be adjusted to redistribute power. But the Zypherans' methods relied on complex calculations and rigid procedures. Humans were creative. Pulling tools from his bag, Alex began working. He modified a few conduits, rerouted energy flows, and used a simple human principle: trial and error combined with observation. Slowly, the flickering platform stabilized, glowing brighter than before. Queen Lyriath watched silently, then nodded. "You surprise me. Humans do not fear improvisation. That is admirable." Alex, panting and exhausted, finally allowed himself a small smile. Maybe he could actually survive here. Maybe humans had something Zypherans did not: flexibility, ingenuity, and courage under pressure. As evening fell, the palace grew quieter. The floating gardens glimmered, and soft music, a melody produced by hovering crystal instruments, filled the air. Alex walked with the Queen along a balcony overlooking the luminous oceans. "You are unlike other humans we have observed," the Queen said softly. "Most would panic, retreat, or fail. You continue. You adapt. You endure." Alex swallowed. "I'm just trying to do what's right. I didn't mean to propose to you. I didn't even know what I was doing." She smiled faintly. "Accidents often reveal truth. Perhaps this engagement was meant to be. Perhaps humans have a role in our future that we have not yet understood." Alex stared at the glowing waters below. He had never felt so small and yet so important. Here he was, a single human among an entire alien civilization, and somehow his presence mattered. I don't know what to say," he admitted. "You need not say anything," she replied. "Observe, learn, act. That is enough. For now." That night, Alex lay in his chamber, exhausted but unable to sleep. He thought of the Queen, the palace, and the strange, beautiful planet around him. He thought of the accidental proposal and the Queen's calm acceptance, and he realized something important. Being human was enough. Humans were clever, brave, and adaptable. They could survive situations that even the most advanced aliens found challenging. And Alex, for all his clumsiness and mistakes, had proved that humans could be valuable allies, not just to Zephora, but to the galaxy. He closed his eyes, determined. Tomorrow would bring more challenges, more tests, and more chances to prove himself. And this time, he would be ready. Because in a galaxy full of rules, rigid logic, and predictable outcomes, humans had one thing no alien could replicate: ingenuity. Alex Mercer thought he was finally getting the hang of Zypheran culture. After 2 days of crash courses, awkward gestures, and improvised engineering feats, he had gained the Queen's cautious approval. He could now bow without nearly falling over, hand over floating crystals without offending anyone, and even navigate the palace corridors without colliding with hovering servants. But Alex was about to learn that surviving palace etiquette was the easier part of being the fiancé of an alien queen. It started with whispers. During the morning briefing, a messenger approached Queen Lyriath, his translucent skin pulsing a little faster than usual, a Zypheran sign of urgency. "Your Majesty," the messenger said, "a fleet from the Dorvac sector has been spotted near our borders. They question the recent alliance with humans." Alex's stomach dropped. "Alliance? We didn't even negotiate anything yet." The Queen's eyes narrowed, sharp and glowing. "They see your presence here as a threat or an opportunity. Dorvaxians are clever but predictable. They will test us." Alex swallowed. His brain immediately went into overdrive. Test, attack, danger. Humans were resourceful, yes, but he hadn't exactly trained for interstellar warfare. "Human," the Queen said, turning her gaze on him. "I require your counsel. You have shown ingenuity in simple matters. Can you offer insight for a complex problem?" Alex gulped. I can try, Your Majesty." She led him to a holographic display of the approaching fleet. Ships of all shapes and sizes glinted in violet light, their movements precise and threatening. Dorvaxians rely on brute force and intimidation. But humans, she paused, eyes glimmering. Humans have creativity. Alex's heart raced. He had never been in a real battle, Not even in simulations. Yet somehow this was the moment to prove that humans could excel where others could not. He studied the fleet. Their formation is predictable, he said slowly. They're strong but rigid. If we create decoys and manipulate their sensors, we can make them think we have more ships than we do. Queen Lyriath tilted her head. Explain. Alex pointed to the holographic display. We use our energy grids to project illusions, light patterns, movement patterns. Make the Dorvaxians see ships that aren't there. Then we strike where they are weakest. The Queen's lips curved slightly. Clever, unorthodox, human. Aides immediately began relaying Alex's plan to the defense commanders. Alex, despite being terrified, was now at the center of a real interstellar defense strategy. His hands shook as he adjusted holographic controls, improvising techniques that Zifferans would never consider. Do not fail us, Queen Lyriath said softly. For the first time, the fate of Zephora and our engagement depends on your species. Alex gulped again. No pressure. By evening, the Dorvaxian fleet had reached Zephora's perimeter. The skies above the floating city shimmered with alien vessels bristling with weapons. Human ingenuity met alien technology in a dazzling display. Energy grids flickered, projections of ships appeared and vanished, and the Dorvaxians faltered, unsure of where the real forces were. Alex, using a mix of human improvisation and quick thinking, redirected power to critical defense nodes, creating temporary energy barriers. The Dorvaxians attempted a strike, but their attacks hit the illusions. Real ships remained unharmed. The Queen watched silently, her luminous eyes following every move. Alex realized that he wasn't just a guest anymore. He was an active participant in defending an entire civilization. Finally, the Dorvaxians, confused and demoralized, retreated. Zephora had survived its first interstellar test with Alex's help. Cheers erupted among the Zypherans, and Queen Lyriath smiled. You have proven humans are valuable allies. You think fast, adapt quickly, and act decisively. These are qualities we respect. Alex, exhausted and trembling, allowed himself a small smile. I didn't expect that to work. Neither did they, the Queen said softly. But it did. And that is the difference. Despite the victory, Alex couldn't shake a nagging worry. If a Dorvaxian fleet could be this aggressive, what about other threats? The galaxy was vast, full of dangers, and humans were fragile compared to Zypherans. Yet somehow his ingenuity had turned the tide. That night, as he walked through the glowing gardens with Queen Lyriath, he felt a strange mixture of fear and pride. You are different from other humans, she said. Most would have panicked, surrendered, or fled. She paused. You acted. You adapted. You survived. Alex rubbed his neck awkwardly. I just did what I thought was right. I didn't think I'd actually help save your planet. Her gaze softened. Humans often underestimate themselves. That is their charm. Perhaps that is why your species is so valuable. You do not accept limits. You create solutions where others see obstacles. Alex stared at the floating lights over the ocean, feeling a strange sense of belonging. He had accidentally proposed to an alien queen, survived the palace's customs, and now defended her planet from a real threat. He was a human, imperfect, clumsy, and often terrified, but somehow essential. The following days were a whirlwind. Alex was put through more tests, navigating political debates, understanding alien law, and attending ceremonial gatherings where a single misstep could result in humiliation. Each challenge tested his intellect, patience, and adaptability. At one point, he had to mediate a disagreement between two powerful Zypheran ministers. They were arguing over resource allocation for the floating city, and tempers flared. Alex, using a mix of human logic and creative compromise, proposed a solution that satisfied both sides. The ministers, initially skeptical, were forced to acknowledge the wisdom of his approach. Queen Lyriath observed quietly, then gave a rare nod of approval. You see, human, she said later, your species has one trait that Zephorans do not fully possess: flexibility. Where we see fixed paths, you see multiple solutions. That is invaluable. Alex smiled faintly, exhausted but proud. I'm glad it helps. I really didn't want this engagement to start with chaos, but he shrugged. Maybe humans have something to offer after all. The palace, once intimidating and alien, now felt like a place where he could actually contribute. Each challenge reinforced the lesson. Humans might not be as strong or as fast as Zypherans, but their ingenuity, courage, and willingness to improvise made them unpredictable and powerful in ways the aliens could not anticipate. However, danger was never far away. Late one night, Alex overheard whispers of a new threat, a rival faction within Zephora itself. Some nobles resented the presence of humans, viewing Alex's accidental engagement as a sign of weakness or disruption. They were plotting, scheming, and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Alex realized that surviving this palace and the galaxy would require more than clever inventions and quick thinking. It would demand diplomacy, courage, and an unshakable determination to prove that humans could rise to challenges that no one expected them to survive. As he gazed at the twin suns setting over Zephora, he felt a surge of resolve. The accidental proposal had put him in the middle of an alien empire's politics, battles, and customs, but he was not powerless. Humans were clever, adaptable, and courageous, and Alex Mercer, for all his fears and mistakes, was ready to prove it. The galaxy was watching. The Queen was watching. And for the first time, Alex felt that maybe, just maybe, being human was enough to face any challenge, even if it involved alien politics, dangerous rivals, and the occasional interstellar attack. Tomorrow would bring new trials, new tests, and perhaps even greater dangers. But Alex knew one thing: humans could survive. Humans could thrive. And humans, he could be more than anyone expected. Because sometimes the most unlikely heroes were the ones who never planned to be heroes at all. Alex Mercer had faced palace etiquette, alien politics, and even an interstellar fleet, and somehow survived. Yet nothing could have prepared him for what came next: a full-scale invasion on Zephora. The morning began quietly, with the twin suns casting soft light over the floating crystal city. Alex was reviewing alien engineering schematics, trying to understand the energy grids he had been improvising, when alarms blared throughout the palace. Red lights flashed, and the soft hum of the city grew into a low, urgent vibration. Queen Lyriath appeared instantly, serene yet commanding. "Alex," she said, her glowing eyes fixed on him. "This is no longer a test. The Dorvaxians have returned, larger, stronger, and prepared to conquer." Alex's stomach churned. He had survived a small skirmish before, but this was different. The sky above Zephora was filled with dozens of alien warships, larger and more menacing than he had ever imagined. "They expect us to fight conventionally," Lyriath continued. "They know our defenses, our technology. But humans, you do not fight conventionally. Can you help?" Alex swallowed, trying to steady his trembling hands. I think so. If we do this human way, we might have a chance." The Queen nodded. "Explain." Alex quickly outlined a plan. Zephyran tactics relied on precision, coordinated attacks, and overwhelming power. The human approach relied on unpredictability, improvisation, and exploiting weaknesses. "We use their expectations against them," Alex said. "We create decoys, manipulate energy flows, and hit where they don't expect. We can turn their strength into weakness." Queen Lyriath's lips curved slightly. "Interesting. Proceed, human." Immediately, Alex was put in charge of coordinating human-style defenses alongside Zephyran commanders. He ran through the floating city, directing energy nodes, adjusting shields, and giving rapid instructions that no one thought possible. His hands shook, but his mind was sharp. First, he created illusionary fleets. Using energy projections, he made dozens of fake ships appear above the city, confusing the Dorvaxians. They hesitated, unsure where the real forces were, buying critical time. Next, Alex rerouted energy grids to create temporary force barriers over key platforms. The Dorvaxians fired their plasma weapons, but their attacks hit empty illusions or dissipated harmlessly against shields. While Zephyran ships launched standard attacks, Alex guided small groups of human engineers and technicians to improvise mobile strike units. They adapted alien weapons to human ingenuity, creating traps and ambushes that the invaders could not anticipate. At one point, a Dorvaxian cruiser broke through the outer defenses and aimed directly for the palace. Alex noticed that its targeting system relied on repetitive scans. Using a human-inspired trick, he manipulated a nearby energy conduit to send false signals, causing the cruiser to fire at empty platforms. The ship destabilized and crashed harmlessly into the glowing ocean below. Queen Lyriath watched the battle from above, her calm demeanor hiding astonishment. "You are remarkable human. You do not fight like us. You fight like something new. Alex's heart raced. The city shook. Lights flickered, and the Dorvaxians tried every conventional tactic they knew. But human improvisation continued to outsmart them. Alex coordinated rapid energy diversions, used floating crystal arrays to reflect enemy fire, and even created temporary safe zones for civilians, all in a series of bold, improvised maneuvers. By mid-afternoon, the tide began to turn. The Dorvaxians were disoriented, frustrated, and demoralized. They could not predict the humans' moves, and their rigid strategies failed repeatedly. Alex's boldness, combined with the Queen's support, had transformed a desperate defense into a decisive counterattack. During a brief lull, Queen Lyriath approached Alex. "You have exceeded expectations," she said, her luminous eyes gleaming. "Your species, humans. You are not what I anticipated. You are courageous, clever, and fearless in ways few can imagine." Alex, exhausted and sweat-streaked, managed a tired grin. "I guess humans can surprise even the best of aliens." The final phase of the battle required Alex to lead a small strike team against the Dorvaxian flagship. Zypherans had never attempted such a maneuver with their own commanders. It was considered too dangerous. But humans thrived on risk and creativity. Alex's plan was simple in concept but complex in execution. Using a combination of speed, misdirection, and energy manipulation, he and his team infiltrated the flagship's defenses. He noticed structural weaknesses in the alien ship, spots where energy flows intersected and could be destabilized. Carefully, he rigged a series of small conduits to overload these nodes, creating a chain reaction. As the flagship began to falter, Alex sent a final command to synchronize Zypheran forces, a coordinated strike from multiple directions. The flagship erupted in controlled explosions, scattering the Dorvaxian fleet and forcing a full retreat. Cheers erupted across the floating city. Citizens floated above the platform, celebrating, while Zypheran ships saluted in formation. Alex, panting and bruised from the day's exertions, could hardly believe what had just happened. Queen Lyriath approached him, her face calm but glowing with pride. "You have done what few could. You have saved Zyphora with your ingenuity and courage. Humans, you are truly remarkable." Alex blinked. "I just did what seemed right. I didn't expect it to work." "That is precisely why it did," the Queen said softly. "Humans act without fear of the impossible. That is your strength. That is why you survive and why you are valuable." For the first time, Alex felt a deep sense of pride, not just in himself but in humanity. Despite being clumsy, impulsive, and inexperienced, he had proven that humans could rise to challenges far beyond their expectations. Later that evening, as the floating city shimmered under the twin suns' setting glow, Alex walked alongside the Queen in the palace gardens. The battle was over, the invaders defeated, and the city safe. "You have changed my view of your species," Lyriath said, her voice soft but firm. "Most humans would have panicked, surrendered, or failed. She paused. "You acted decisively, bravely, and creatively. That is rare." Alex smiled faintly. "I didn't do it for praise. I just wanted to survive and help. Humans, we find ways even when it seems impossible." Her eyes gleamed. "And that is why I trust you. Why I accepted your accidental proposal. You are not merely a human guest. You are an ally, a protector, and perhaps even something more." Alex's heart skipped a beat. He had survived palace etiquette, alien politics, and interstellar attacks. But this was something else entirely. He was not just a participant in a battle. He was respected, trusted, and valued. As the celebration continued, with citizens and guards alike honoring the defenders of the city, Alex realized the truth. Humans were capable of extraordinary things. Even one human armed with courage and ingenuity could turn the tide of events that no alien could predict. He had survived the palace, gained the Queen's respect, and defended an entire civilization. The accidental proposal, which had seemed like a disaster, had led to an unexpected triumph. Alex looked at the glowing city below, then up at the shimmering sky. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, political intrigues, new alliances, and perhaps even more threats from the galaxy beyond. But for now, Alex allowed himself a moment of pride. Humans could adapt, improvise, and triumph where others failed. And Alex Mercer, accidental fiancé and human hero, had proven it. The Queen's hand rested lightly on his shoulder. Tomorrow the galaxy will remember SciFi and the human who saved it. Alex nodded, feeling both exhausted and exhilarated. I guess humans are full of surprises. Yes, Lyriath said softly. And so are you, Alex Mercer. So are you. For the first time since his arrival, Alex felt at home, not just in the palace, but in the universe itself. Humans were clever, brave, and capable of far more than they ever realized. And Alex, for all his mistakes and clumsiness, had just shown the galaxy why. The morning after the battle, SciFi was alive with celebration. Floating lanterns shimmered above the crystal city. Citizens hovered in joyful waves, and the energy grids hummed a cheerful tune. Alex Mercer, exhausted but exhilarated, had become a household name, not just among humans, but across the entire SciFi civilization. Yet amidst the celebrations, one thought weighed heavily on his mind: the accidental proposal. He had survived palace customs, alien politics, and even an interstellar attack. But now the Queen's engagement offer still loomed over him. Alex tried to avoid her, ducking into workshops, checking energy conduits, and pretending to study floating crystal diagrams. But Queen Lyriath had a way of appearing exactly where she needed to be. Alex, she said softly, her glowing eyes observing him from across the chamber. We must discuss the engagement. Alex swallowed, running a hand through his messy hair. Your Majesty, She raised a delicate hand, silencing him. Do not speak. Actions, not words. You have proven yourself. Not as a human guest, not as a curious anomaly, but as someone valuable to SciFi. Alex blinked. I didn't expect any of this. I never meant to propose. I wasn't ready for any of it. Lyriath's lips curved in a faint smile. Intentions matter less than outcomes. You adapted, survived, and excelled. That is why your accidental proposal is now deliberate in a sense. Alex's head spun. Deliberate? I didn't even know what deliberate meant in alien culture. You have shown courage, ingenuity, and loyalty, the Queen continued. Traits rare in any species. I accept that humans and you can be trusted. Therefore, I officially accept your proposal. Alex's mouth fell open. You actually mean it? Yes, she said calmly. Not out of obligation, but because your actions warrant it. You are admirable. Alex blinked, a mixture of relief, disbelief, and mild panic flooding him. Wow, okay, I guess. I accept too. The Queen's smile widened slightly. Good. Now that is settled, let us see what humans truly bring to SciFi beyond battle and improvisation. In the following days, Alex was treated as more than a guest. He was an advisor, a strategist, and yes, a fiancé. He helped improve energy distribution in floating districts, suggested creative solutions to bureaucratic disputes, and even introduced humans' idea of emergency drills, which confused but impressed the SciFians. The palace staff, once nervous around him, began to rely on his human perspective. He found joy in blending human practicality with alien elegance, showing that sometimes the simplest ideas could solve complex problems. Queen Lyriath, meanwhile, seemed genuinely amused by his antics. When Alex accidentally tripped over a floating conduit during a ceremony, she merely raised a glowing eyebrow, then laughed softly, a sound that made Alex's heart skip. You see, Alex, she said one evening as they walked through the floating gardens, humans are unpredictable, yes, but in ways that inspire trust and admiration. Your species has qualities we lack: adaptability, humor, and a willingness to act when others hesitate. Alex shrugged, trying to hide his grin. I just try to do what feels right. I don't know if it's impressive, I just do my best. Lyriath paused, floating above a pool of glowing water. That is exactly why it is impressive. Humans think outside the rigid rules of the galaxy. You improvise, innovate, survive. That is remarkable. Alex felt a warmth spread through him. He had survived palace customs, alien diplomacy, interstellar attacks, and political intrigue. And now he was being recognized for it, not as a human outsider, but as someone truly valued. The days passed with small victories. Citizens thanked him for creative solutions. Alien engineers marveled at his quick thinking, and even the Queen seemed to enjoy his company more each day. Alex realized that humans were not just capable of surviving in alien civilizations. They could thrive, inspire, and even change the course of events through ingenuity alone. One afternoon, as the palace celebrated a festival honoring the city's defense, Alex found himself surrounded by Zephorans eager to hear his tales of human problem-solving. Children floated around him, eyes wide, as he demonstrated a simple human trick using a crystal and a light beam. The queen watched quietly, a faint smile tugging at her lips. "You have changed perceptions, Alex," she said later when the crowds had dispersed, "not just of yourself but of humans. You have proven that your species is more than capable." Alex laughed softly, exhausted but happy. "I guess humans can be useful sometimes." "Sometimes?" she asked, amused. "Okay, maybe more than sometimes," he admitted. "We improvise, adapt, survive, and occasionally we save entire civilizations by accident." Lyriath's laughter echoed softly through the chamber. "Indeed, you do so without even realizing the impact of your actions. That is human ingenuity." The festival continued with music, floating lights, and displays of Zephyron and human collaboration. Alex felt a sense of belonging he had never experienced. Despite the accidental proposal, despite the chaos, and despite the danger, he had found a place where humans could shine, not just as observers, but as active participants in shaping the galaxy. As the twin suns set, Alex stood beside the queen, looking over the glowing city. The events of the past week seemed surreal. A clumsy human accidentally proposing to an alien queen, defending her planet with quick thinking, navigating impossible cultural hurdles, and ultimately being recognized as a hero. "You see, Alex," Lyriath said softly, her eyes reflecting the twin suns, "accidents sometimes reveal truths. Yours revealed courage, intelligence, and value beyond measure. That is why I consented to your proposal. Not because it was planned, but because it was earned." Alex chuckled nervously. "I'm not sure if I'm ready for this, but I'll do my best." "And that," she said, "is more than enough." As night fell, the palace shimmered like a jewel suspended in the cosmos. Alex realized that humans could survive the impossible, adapt to alien worlds, and inspire trust through ingenuity alone. The accidental proposal had become a genuine bond, not just with Queen Lyriath, but between humans and an entire civilization. And as the stars sparkled above Zyphora, Alex felt a quiet confidence. Humans were clever, brave, and resourceful. They could face challenges no alien could predict, and sometimes even the most accidental actions could lead to remarkable outcomes. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders, dangers, and surprises, but Alex Mercer, engineer, diplomat, accidental fiancé, and human hero, had proven that one human could make a difference.